Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. I am Madcapper. This is another video on Raid Shadow Legends. I have baking in the oven a video for Trumbor. Just waiting on the infographic from my good friend Chosen, and then I have to, because I forgot about the infographic, as I always do, I'm gonna have to splice in a little snippet with the infographic and post that for you. I don't know, I run on autopilot and 3 years of this. Anyway, I thought in the meantime, I want to mention one thing. I apologize in advance for the next video's volumes. I explained how I'm messing with my mic to get a better, clearer sound. It sounds like I was testing different parts of it. Didn't sound like there was any major issues with the mic. So hopefully I have solved between replacing the cable and adjusting the volumes a bit. But I forgot to then also adjust the volume on the music. So the music's really loud in the next one. I apologize in advance. I'm sorry. But for this video, I'm blatantly stealing Ash's video idea of going over in detail my arena teams. And this is, I'm going to talk about in the perspective of 3v3, though I definitely use classic and 3v3 arena teams kind of interchangeably sometimes. Some of my teams are for both and some aren't. But I thought it'd be a neat idea. Go through my champions and what I use. And also for you guys, here's your comment down below. Or if you have a more in-depth, detailed thought, then head over to my Discord. Link in the description down below for my Discord. And just let me know, what would you do? What am I not using? What team am I not combining that you think would be the best team to use in Arena, either 3v3 or Classic? So let's just jump right into this and head over to the wrong button. And no, I don't want to buy, don't stop. I'm currently pushing back up. I get lazy in 3v3. Those of you who follow me on Twitch and watch me on Sundays know this. In fact, a beautiful pastime that you guys have is trolling me when I'm doing my 3v3, because I hate 3v3. I don't, it's no fun to me. But as far as arena, as far as, you know, showing you what kind of teams I'm putting together, it's a pretty good way to kind of go through the teams that I use. So why don't we jump right here and we'll just go into a fight, and I'll show you. These are iterations of the teams I use for the arena, and I'll go through each one of them for you. I'll talk about why I use each champion and alternates I use. I should actually change this out to the default teams I use. I kind of have a default set that I like to use for each of these teams, and then I interchange them as need be. So this is the default here. Team 1 is a stone skin team, and it's headed out by our good friend Mordu Macabre. Mordu Macabre has a 1-turn stone skin. Unfortunately, I didn't have enough good, legit nuking power, especially HP nuking power, stone skin for him. But he's rocking 101,000 and 161 speed and 290 crit damage with a little bit of resist. I don't really worry about his accuracy. Alternatively, you can increase his accuracy to get him the to be able to land that block buffs, which is actually a pretty it's a pretty big skill. But the key here, and the reason why I don't go for that, is I actually haven't put books into him. So he doesn't have any books. This guy is simply there to be the speed lead. If I want them to go fast, I don't want them to be too slow, because I don't want the other team to get multiple round turns on me. I basically want the team to come in, hit this team, and then me be able to counter with hopefully an unlocked peril. Is kind of the crux of it. But I know that you don't want to live or die by the peril. So I also have 2 other stone skin, and these are both 2-turn stone skin. We'll talk about them in a second. I bring Cardiel in for a couple reasons. Number one, he brings a revive on death, which if I'm using him on this team on defense, I'll actually prioritize his revive on death, so that if any of my team gets killed, including Cardiel himself, and my 1-turn Mordu Macabre, they can revive. And that's just a stall thing, right, for the defensive placed. But it's also very good on offense, because I can use Heavenly Host to increase the crit damage of my team here. And it's awesome. And then he decreases the cooldown of the skill by 1 turn if an enemy is killed with this attack. But the big thing is he's doing an ally attack here. It's a great way to whittle down Duchess teams. So I can use the whole team to hit Duchess without any of the other champions actually hitting. And if you take a look at his stats here, we have him at 74,000 HP, 270 speed, and 585 resistance. So my main goal here is to get him reasonably mobile and to be able to go reasonably quickly and have some good defense. So he's a little bit more difficult to kill. I would love to have him in like faster, stronger, higher defense. I'm not really looking for him in Stone Skin because I want him fast. I also use him in Hydra, so I want to make sure that he is he's mobile for different areas of the game. But I think what my goal here would be is just keep upping his HP, keep upping his defense. Maybe get him a crit capped would be nice, and about 300 speed would be nice, and just keep pushing that resistance. Like all across the board, we're using Cardial. Now, again, Cardial's here just to stall teams, to help my nukers get damage in. The third champion is Harima. I love Harima. She is awesome. She's very versatile, so I like using her in many different ways. But essentially, she's very slow. She's in Stalwart. She's got 6,200 defense, 53,000 HP, 564 resistance, 124 speed, and a little bit of accuracy just to catch kind of the enemy nukers off guard. I would like to push her accuracy closer to 300 because I think with all the empowerments, blessing, masteries, great haul, base resistance is increasing even when on champions that you're really prioritizing damage and or accuracy. You still have some good resistance, so it'd be nice to push that accuracy up a little bit higher. So that's kind of my next goal with her. But essentially, we're just looking at bringing her in, and the biggest thing for me is this purgative punishment, which attacks an enemy 3 times. Each hit decreases the target's defense by 5%, up to 30 stacked. And it increases this champion by 5%, stacks up to 100. And if it happens to kill someone, then it also drops her A3, which is an AoE provoke. So what I'll do is I'll use her A2 and A1 on an enemy. This is typically, I'm up against Duchess teams a lot, so just whittling away Duchess's defense, and she of course is going to be the only one visible. So just using that to slowly take her down until the first round of buffs wear off, and I can use a provoke. And this allows me to then control, for example, a Mortar Macabre, as long as he's not in Stone Skin. And then my follow-up is Trunda. Trunda is in full Stone Skin. She's got 7,000 attack, 256 crit damage, 54k health. Obviously, I'd love to push her health way higher, her damage. Another 1,000 would be nice, and about, you know, another 50 plus crit damage. But and you know, basically try to get her as just as pain in the ass as possible. And the reason why I like the combination here is I've got one of each affinity in this default, which allows me to be able to deal with several different you know, teams. This is kind of my catch-all team. I use a speed against their speed. So you see here, I would keep this here because obviously that's their fastest team. So I want to keep my speed against their speed. And then I'll bring the Duchess against Duchess a lot. I'll see kind of what makes the most sense in the battle, whether this team is the best to fight against or whether I want to flip it back and forth. And then this team just takes on whatever the third team, whatever team's left over. I do make some different iterations of this team. And the great thing about Cardial is because he also has a block debuffs, he's also good against Tormund teams, so I use him a lot. But if I take Cardial out, you did see a couple other options. I sometimes bring Stultus in for extra damage. Stultus hits like a truck. Now, I don't know if this is where I would use him. Maybe. You got 2 Force Affinity and a Void. Helicath is a bit of an issue with this team. So I might actually steal a Cleanser. That's another one I do. Or I like bringing in sometimes my my Solus. The problem with my Solus is that he's built for Hydra right now, so he's not really that top. Like 4,800 at 47k HP When I was using him strictly in the arena, these numbers were way higher. I see I have him way lower on crit damage. I have him in Relentless gear, and I prioritize him for his taunt. So because he's now a Hydra champion for me, I don't use him as often, but he is something out there. I can also put in a Tormund if I think that's useful, though I find Tormund and Krisk a little bit more situational. I like bringing Krisk in if I know they're going to go first, I know they have a nuke, but I wouldn't bring Krisk in seeing an Uko there. It's only if they don't have a strip that I throw that in there. This is a very common one for me, just more survivability. And then, of course, I can always bring in the cleanse. I usually bring in a Reho to be able to cleanse. She's a utility champion for me. I'll bring her into all three of these depending on what I need. And to take a look at her stats, she's sitting at 55, 3,500 at 344 speed, 429 accuracy. And the big thing is this passive, which anytime she gets debuffed off the beginning, she instantly transfers back to the attacker. Will not transfer debuffs that cannot be removed. And that just allows me to get this right here, which is removes all debuffs from all allies, then places a block buff on them for 2 turns. This is a big deal, allowing me, for example, against hegemon teams, those sort of things. It allows the mobility. So I will use this here if I see that there's a strip champion, because strip champions, 3 stone skin, one of them is going to get stripped, likely. So it's just a nice, easy way. Tormund teams, very hard counter to Tormund teams, that sort of thing. So I like bringing Reho in there as well. For this particular team, I do sometimes, probably not fully on that team. I can bring in a Sir Nicholas, a +4 Sir Nick, if I just want to be greasy. That's more a good stall tactic, which on offense you don't use as much. If I feel like I really need survivability, my Ursaga is another big one that I bring in there as well. So that's kind of the team I have. This is the base, 3 stone skin, and then bringing in whichever champion I feel is going to give me the best opportunity to win the match. My second team here is a Duchess team. I've had several different iterations. I used to bring in 2 nukers, and then I got Helicath to a 5-star, and I felt 5-star with polymorph was really where the wheelhouse was at. So my Duchess here is in Swift Parry, and she's sitting at 82,000 HP, 3146 defense, 259 speed, 444 resistance. I do have a high resistance Duchess too, so I can swap out a higher resistance Duchess if I feel like I need to, depending on the team I'm fighting against. In this case, I don't feel like that's really necessary. Then I have a Swift Parry Candrafon. I have not changed my Candrafon in a very long time. Maybe I should be looking at him again, but right now he's just there to do damage. 7406 attack, 296 crit damage, pairing with Duchess. On defense, I'll lock out his A3 so that he's just using his A1 and A2. And then I manual my runs on offense. So, like for example, this team, very likely that their Duchess will go first. So I'll just use him to whittle away at her until such a time that I can strip or what have you. So his A1's actually equally or more powerful. He gets a double hit if they have a buff, makes it very strong. And then the Helicath that I have built out, and I'm still kind of tweaking with them, but very high, 65-45 defense, 229 crit damage. So I'm trying to do crit damage because every time one of your champions with a block damage gets attacked, he counters that champion. It really helps whittle down the team. And he's really survivable. Obviously, he's also very susceptible to decreased defense, so you have to watch for that. 211 speed, much slower than I'd like it to be, but this is a counter go second team, so the opportunity to for him to just kind of do what he does, I don't use him on defense as much. I just have to make sure that he's kept free, and that's why we bring in our Sathalia. Now our Sathalia, of course, has a turn meter reduction with a strip. She has also got a single target cleanse with a block buffs, 2-turn cooldown, very strong, as well as healing all allies and turn meters, and then has an HP burn, which is just a nice little added bonus, and some resistance if you need it in all battles. She's currently sitting at 53,000 at 4,300 defense, 301 speed, 554 accuracy. Her accuracy has been higher in the past, but I had to steal gear. So she was up to 700. I've stolen some of her gear for other champions. I'd like to get her back up to that 700. But typically, She gets the job done, believe it or not, with that accuracy. And you can tell, right? Like a 327, maybe one of these champions a high enough resistance to stop it, but I'll still strip the other 3 type of thing. And then my speed team here. Oh, by the way, this team here, I do change out Helikath and Sethalia a lot. I'll go through some of the supplementary champions I use. My third team, this is also my speed farm. This is my nuking. This is my 6-day-a-week classic arena team. And it simply starts with an Arbiter. And it's very important. She's in the fancy gear that I bought during Black Friday. And she's sitting at 405 speed. She's also got some good accuracy. It happens to be that my banner is an accuracy banner, which helps. So 395 accuracy does help with her stripping some buffs if need be. And other than that, some survivability. But her big deal is just to go first. And then she activates into Warlord. Warlord, I've got a 1-star polymorph. I just happened to get a 1-star Warlord. I thought it made sense to do. It's not really a huge deal. But the big thing with him is we're sitting at a 325 speed at 734 accuracy at 64,000 health. And my goal is to just lock out teams. So I speed, I boost turn meter, put on that increase attack, and then I lock out the enemy team. And this is a hard counter to anything that can't resist it. So that's really Warlord's here to counter anything that can't resist his lockout skill here, the Orcus Rituals. Then we put that into Prince Kymar. Prince Kymar is really nice as a safety net. So say there was a 3% resist, or there's just a champion that's really fast, has the potential of locking out with an A1. He's going to put them to sleep and potentially reduce their turn meter as well with the 5% turn meter reduction mastery with an AoE. And then on the second round, he's actually going to reset. So what's going to happen on this team is Arbiter's going to go, Warlord's going to go, Kymar's going to go, Arbiter's going to go again, so she gets a double boost because I actually use her revive as a secondary boost. And then Warlord will, and then my nuker goes, and then Kymar resets, so that if anyone did die, for example, going up against the Leorius or something that's counterattacking me with Reflect. Honestly, the reality is Baron, who is the nuker here, he doesn't need much cleanup. Leorius is about the only one. I really don't care because I've locked out Leorius and I've killed the rest of your team. If Leorius kills Baron, who cares? I can just step up and tap Leorius and he's dead at that point. So obviously Baron, we all know about him. He's at 8236, 274 crit damage. His job is to just clean up, and he does, and that's what he does. If there happens to be other people alive after that, then you can use this with the surplus damage. You've got the guaranteed decreased defense, and this one I really don't use, but I guess technically if I needed it, I could use that with like a Duchess or something to get a bunch of buffs on him. But really, it's all about Sky Piercer and Trample, and then if you need to, Split Asunder hits a single target, pretty ridiculous damage as well. So that's the main threesome tag team that I use. Now, as for other champions I have at my disposal that I will bring in and out, I have a Foley, a +4 immunity Foley. So if I need to Torment counter, this is who I use. If there's anyone that I feel like I need immunity in, he's also, if I need that block buff, so I'm really worried about double revivers, he's got it. And he's sitting at 75, 71 attack, 304 crit damage at 231 speed. So I have him at very fast speed, and that's in order to be able to counter some of these teams. I also use my Foley as part of a team if I know the enemy's faster. So if in Classic Arena I've gone up against someone who's a faster team than me, I will switch to my second Arbiter, which we'll go over in a minute, and I'll use Foley as part of that team so I can lock, you get that block revive and it locks people out. And I also use Hegemon to a control Hedgie to help reduce turn meter so that I can get the first turn. So that's my Foley. Other champions I can bring in. I don't often bring him in, but if I need another nuker and I want to make sure Void Affinity, so I'm not worried about it, Ethos will come in. He's at 75-48 attack at 254 crit damage at 221 speed. He's my PvE wave clearer and my campaign farmer, so I don't use him in the arena much, but I definitely know he's there, and he can hit some hard. We talked about Ursaga. I do use her quite a bit if I need some extra 5 abilities. She's sitting in Guardian gear at 105 HP, 6100 defense, and a little bit of resistance accuracy just to help at 180 speed. Her main job is to just soak up damage, ally protect, those sort of things. Other champions I use. Stultus. Stultus is pretty fun because he hits really hard. Unfortunately, I have a major book deficit for legendary champions, which is why he probably isn't a mainstay. But right now, I do bring him in quite a bit. He's at 48,000 HP, 6915 defense at 237 crit damage. Pretty slow. What I would really like to do is get him at about 170, and also I'd really like to push his defense even higher because he hits so hard with both of these skills, and even honestly as A1 he hits so hard, and it's so nice having a defensive based champion. And he has this: whenever an enemy attempts to place a weaken, decreased defense, or poison on this champion, he reflects them back to the attacker. So it's a good specific counter to teams that have that sort of thing. Venus might be a good example. If I can get an opportunity to stun, to reflect back on Venus and stun on Cupidus, for example. So I bring him in just to try to, just as another nuker from a different perspective. And absolutely love Stultus. Once I get books into him, we'll be cooking with gas. I already showed you Reho. I bring Reho into all different battles depending on who I'm facing. So she's this hard counter to control teams. I do have a polymorph Molly that I've toyed in and out with. 95,000 HP, 3600 defense, 321 resistance, 214 accuracy. She's not really properly built anymore, but I was using her as a shield set champion. Would not be a bad idea to transition her into a bolster champion, but I just haven't really gotten around to it, so I haven't used her much of late. I have 2 Krisks. I will bring in Krisk, although they're mainly built for Hydra, so this is only just a kind of what for. 71,000 HP, 238 speed, 464 resistance. You can see what that's built for. So I don't really use them that much unless there's just something where I know they're going to get some damage. I still, every once in a while, if I see a hedgy team, I'll bring in my just in case it's a nuke, I'll bring in my Krisk. But mostly I don't use Krisk too often. I do have 2 hegemons now. I transitioned one to a nuking hedgy. So we've got him at 7,600 attack at 263 crit damage. Honestly, I don't use Hegemon that often. Other than my control hedgy to counter teams that are faster than me, or potentially faster than me, I don't use hedgy that much anymore. I feel like I'm missing out. I should be, but I don't. It's quite simple. I use Mithrala a lot. I bring her in quite a bit. You should know her abilities. I have her at 74 HP, 241 speed, with good accuracy and resistance. This is lowered. I had it closer to 1200 combined because she has her passive ability. The reason why it's not anymore is because I just needed other gear for other champions, and because I don't focus on Plat Arena, I didn't feel like she was as critical to have fully min-maxed. So I would like her to get her back up to that 1200 because, again, this right here increases this champion's resistance by the amount of her accuracy. So it's a really nice ability to have. If that's up to 1200, that's going to stop. 1000 doesn't stop every increased accuracy debuffer, but if you have options, it's pretty good. Ramontu, I don't use him anymore. I don't even think I have him built. He was one I was using quite a bit. I'll probably bring him back into the mix because he's such a good champion. Just reality is I just don't have the gear right now to bring him back to, if I'm going to push into Gold 4 3v3, or if I'm going to go into Plat Arena, I would need him to be much better than he is, and so I don't use him that often. Same with Lydia. I think she's a very strong champion because of her block revive. So if I see double revivers, sometimes I'll bring her in to help, but I prefer other teams, and I haven't found a way to properly bring her into a team and still make it work. So, but she's on the reserve list. And then we talked about it. Here's my control hedgie, 586 accuracy. I don't even know if I don't think I have his masteries done yet, because I got a second one. So I pulled the second one recently. But he's a little bit faster. He's a little bit more survivable. Less attack, no crit rate, because we're just trying to control. We're not trying to kill with this. So it's a different perspective. Solus, I already talked about. I do have Ultimate Death Knight and Stoneskin. I may have already stolen some of his. Yeah, I can see he's already missing some stuff. I was just building him similar to all my other defense-based champions. Defense and HP as far as I can, and just make him a pain in the ass to kill. I don't use him that much, but he is available, and I do use him on occasion. Well, we're getting down to the nitty-gritty. I do have two Ukos, and I had an Uko built for the arena, and I stopped using them for other builds, but I would like to get them back. I've stolen gear. Again, high accuracy. In some kind of, like, immunity would be nice, so he's not locked out, and then he can strip. He's a buff stripper. He's a reviver. He's very versatile. I really like him, and I just don't have him currently built. But I think I'll definitely look at building him back into one of the, like, even just an option. I find like this Helicath is more of a pain in the ass to deal with than Uko, but I'd like to get Uko to the point where I could swap the two interchangeably and still get the results I want. Other than that, I have not used Lady Kimmy in a long time, because the high resistance doesn't seem to exist at the same frequency it used to. I used to have her as my speed lead. I went back to my Arbiter. It was a decision based on wanting that increased attack for Baron. So when I got Baron, and when they made the changes to Baron, I made the decision that it was more important to get the increased attack than to have her kit, which was the increased accuracy. So I still use her for the increased accuracy, but if you look at this, I actually use her in my team for Fire Knight. And so I don't really have her worked out for the arena. Absolutely an amazing arena champion. Just in my playstyle and the teams I'm using, that increased accuracy hasn't been important enough for me to jump on board. So, yeah, I wish I should have Kimmy better positioned. Same with Brogni. I have two Brognis. I don't use either of them currently in the arena, but you can see I do have kind of... I can sub him in if need be, just to have some extra. He's in bolster gear, so if I need that ability. But I think when bolster disappeared from the meta, I think he disappeared along with it on my team. I also have a couple Rhodoses there. I've stolen gear from them. They're not currently built, but I do bring them in and re-gear them if need be, if I have a single target need that I have to get through. You know, typically very strong Duchess's team, it's nice to have a Rhodos in there to whittle them down because of the positive affinity. And I do have a couple of Lissandras. Don't use them anymore. I think there's just better options for boosting and turn meter control. And more importantly, speed lead teams are very small. I use one, but you know, honestly, I could even just use none and just build them out differently. The second I get a Necrit, this team probably goes away. My third team probably goes away, and I use maybe like a Duchess, Warlord, Baron, Necrit team or something like that, because I feel like then I'm less concerned about speed lead, because if Baron can survive and put some kind of all the different counterattacks, counterattack accessories, counterattack gear, or whatever, anything I can to get him to hit as many times as possible, that would just be a salty team to have to fight against. Or even just in the, like, as he is, because he is in my best gear overall. Whatever I can do to get him to attack and do damage is what I want. So, Necrit changes this team. Oh, I didn't show you my second Arbiter. Let's see, my second Arbiter. That sounds so Please don't get... If you're a low free-to-play spend, please don't get salty with me. It's not my fault. By the way, pay attention. I didn't pay attention, and once I +1'd my Blind Seer, which I used Blind Seer a lot. I feel like she's an underrated champion, but the reality is a +1 Lydia would have been better. And then I did Sugar, and I shouldn't have, and I pulled an extra Sugar very recently, and I was just like, oh yeah, whatever, I'll just +1, I might use them. Was not the right idea. It was not the right call. So yeah, I could have had, what is it, Ramontu? Is it +1 Ramontu? I think it is. Either way, my bad. I apologize, and I get it. I have a +1. It's funny, my fastest Arbiter, my speed Arbiter is not my +1 Arbiter. If I ever get another Arbiter, then I might have to make choices for the speed boost. But at 330, 70k, 3500, 261, she is an immunity. And so the goal of her is to go up against hedgy teams or teams that are faster than my 405 Arbiter. Because when I use hedgy to control, so you use his A1 first, that reduces turn meter, which allows my Arbiter to go instead of their Arbiter, even if it's faster. That's kind of the deal. Also very good against Torment teams. So I'll bring in that hedgy group with against Torment as well, because even if they're slower than me, I can lock them out and then deal with them that way. So an immunity, this is just an immunity Arbiter that I bring in. There's one last champion I use, the only epics left that I still bring out there, and it's just to hard counter any Force Affinity teams that are giving me some grief, and that is, I'm sure you've guessed, that's Magnar. My Magnar, actually, I have not been working on him, so he's kind of stagnant, and I feel like there's much further to go with him, but I just haven't really focused on it. And I don't seem to get a lot of HP Savage gear. It seems to all be crit rate, crit damage, and attack, not crit rate, crit damage, and HP, which, it's not that you still can't put it on Magnar, but the reality is it makes it harder to build out his stats. So, also he's got an attack blessing. I should probably change that for the amount of times. Well, I think it's probably the one that decreases defense. So anyway, 265, 93k in Savage. Strictly there for an AoE opportunity, and hits really hard. Very nice to have. I can sometimes use him as a double nuke, so if I need a double nuke. So with that said, we're going to take on this team. We're going to see how I do. I probably fail miserably, but this is going to be a nice way to kind of show you, again, what the thought process is in action with these teams. And we're going to use the default ones I've got here going. So again, I know that he's going to have a cleanse, and I'd rather put the block debuff so that I can't get this stuff on. I could have alternatively went and tried to attack him. Now here's the deal. Here is I got to get through that block damage. So we're gonna have to we're just gonna have to burn through. Oh, stun. That's an added bonus. We can do this here. The nice thing is the decreased defense does go through his stone skin, so that's an opportunity to kind of hit. Good. I love seeing AoEs. That's going to activate Mordu Macabre. Let's see if he's there yet. He's not there yet. We can hit here. What we'll do is we'll go up against Uko. We want to get Uko out of the thing, and because he's only going to take the first hit. Now we're going to get an AoE, so Uko's going to go down, which is good. That's going to make life easier on us. Now we need to get rid of... We really need to get rid of Helikath. It's really unfortunate I got stone skinned. Let's see if we can get some... Well, that's good, I guess. Problem is this actually acts as a single target, so we're gonna get 2 hits. Yes, stun, that's good. Some cleanse, and there, it's good. This is such a pain in the ass team, and this is where I feel like maybe I should be taking someone else in this position. So this is going to hit both. That's what I love about that, is if you hit hard enough, you can actually kill both of them, which is fun. Now it's, you know, you can put it in auto and just let them do their thing. Okay, battle 2. This one is a little bit more interesting. I'm going to save this until these two put their buffs up. So what we're just going to do is we're just going to make sure that he doesn't get locked out. She's going to do that anyway. And now they're going to do all this. Now hopefully we can survive. Let's do this. There. I don't know who's faster. Hopefully my Helicath, yes. So now we've got some survivability. We're not really worried. Plus we're going to get those counter attacks, which are really nice. And they ignore defense. And on top of that, I get to strip. So now I'm the captain. And then we'll do some damage here. We'll try to get her. Well, it is what it is. But we're gonna keep getting these counter attacks, which is just gonna keep whittling them down. I knew that was gonna happen, which is fine. We've got an AoE that kills someone. Very nice. We'll heal him up because he is the one that's technically. Oh, there's a swift parry. It's not great, but he's probably going to go after my girl. Oh, he's going to use that. See, that's why I locked that out, because he could have potentially killed one of my champions, but instead he doesn't. So, you know, this is. I don't know what he thinks he's going to do now, but it's not going to work. You're dead, son. There we go. Pretty easy win. Pretty easy to. And then, of course, we have this team here. We're going to lock them out. This is a little bit scary because of this dude here who can then do that. But I have a trick up my sleeve because I could have just revived there. Didn't get enough damage to kill me. That's the worst case scenario for you, and it's game over. So that's the team in a nutshell. That's how I run the teams. And if you want to see my defenses, they're going to be very similar because that's what I use on defense too. It's actually funny. I have Magnar here. I actually would not use Magnar anymore. I really like this Helicath team, and a little bit more defense on this for sure. But I do like that team. I feel like that team really is really good for me. Maybe if I used. No, we're good with this. So, slight difference here. On defense with Duchess, prioritize Spectral Rebirth. Otherwise, she'll use Shroud of Souls even if someone's dead. Canderfon, I will lock out this ability. I'll lock out this ability. I don't want him to use it. I just want him to hit with his A2 and his A1. Sathalia, this is tough. This is why on defense it's a little harder. I would say, based on the majority of what happens, if I use that first, because think if you're coming in as an offense and you see a Sathalia, you're like, okay, you have a buff strip, she's going to use that first, so I'm going to hold my buffs for a round, and then I don't use it, and then you've kind of wasted a round of buffs. So it's kind of a cat and mouse game, and then use this first. I think this is a much better offense team than defense for me, but we're going to try it for a little while, see if it makes a difference. So you've already seen these two teams in action. They're just identically what it is. You see here, I'm prioritizing Angel Song so I can get that revive and block debuffs. On offense, I'll be a little bit more situational. So that's my defense team, and you see battle log. No one fights me, but when they do, I win. It is midweek, so that's not a brag, really. So yeah, there you go. There's my team. There's my arena team champions. The long video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please give me a thumbs up and like and subscribe. And let me know in the comments down below, where do you think I'm effing up? What would you do with my roster? Here, I'll show you the roster. What would you do with my roster that you feel that I am not doing currently? Let's take a look at the roster I have here. The main roster, you can see it right here. Even Magnar sneaks in, so you can see kind of all the nuking champions I have. This is the team, and then if we go into the vault, we'll see some more. I do have a bunch of other champions we can use. I don't have a bomb team currently. That's something I should probably re-put together. The Cupidus Venus I use in Hydra to I would say for me great success. That's why I don't use them in Arena. If we click on him here, you can see that, you know, we got regen. We got where's Cupidus? He's a +2, I think. Oh, he's probably out here. Oh, he's right here. Right, so we have him in blood whatever, blood few, blood thorn, blood something, lifesteal. You know, I have the Ukos. I think that's probably a miss. Let me know about that. I have whatever his, I can't remember what's his name. I do have Shemnath, who I was using for a while. I just stole her gear for a video, so don't panic. You know, I think there's opportunity to use some of these champions that I'm not using. So let me know in the comments down below. Where am I crazy? I think my reserve is just dupes. Yeah. So, yeah, let me know. Comments down below. Thank you for watching the video. I appreciate you. Please be kind, be safe. We'll see you in the next one.